Hey folks, imagine the Great Plains, 1876, where legendary war chiefs like Sitting Bull and Geronimo outsmarted armies with cunning and courage, per The Last Stand. A carved charm, unearthed in 2024, hints at a forgotten prophecy. Did it predict their triumphs over Custer and beyond? Or a hidden cost? Join natives Untold to uncover the battles that shook empires and the secrets they left behind. What did the charm conceal? Stick around to find out. Hey folks, welcome to Natives Untold, where we shine a light on the incredible stories of indigenous leaders who shaped history with their brilliance and courage, per The Last Stand's exploration of defiance. George Custer's defeat at Little Bighorn in 1876 is famous, but he wasn't the only U.S. officer to face the strategic genius of native warriors. Today, we uncover 5 legendary war chiefs and their deadliest battles, starting with Pontiac and Tecumseh, whose alliances and visions inspired generations. Why are these triumphs often overlooked in textbooks? A carved shield will spark questions. Let's dive into their epic stands. Pontiac, the Odawa leader born around 1720, grew up in a world of balance among Great Lakes tribes, trading with French allies, per Pontiac's War by Richard Middleton. I pictured myself beside him, the lakes shimmering under the sun, as he learned the art of diplomacy and warfare from his elders, per The Last Stand by Nathaniel Philbrick. When France lost the French and Indian War in 1763, the British took control, and General Geoffrey Amherst ended diplomatic gifts, treating tribes as subdued, per Middleton. Pontiac, a master strategist, fused a spiritual revival with tribal anger, forging a coalition of Ojibwe, Potawatomi, and Seneca, per Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee by D. Brown. His plan, coordinated attacks on 11 British forts. In May 1763, Pontiac led 300 warriors to Fort Detroit, weapons hidden under blankets, but a tip-off forced a siege, per Philbrick. For 5 months, his forces grew to 900, cutting supply lines in a campaign of endurance, per Brown. The climax came on July 31 at Bloody Run, where Pontiac ambushed a British relief force, slaughtering them in a creek that ran red, per Middleton. Though the siege ended, Pontiac captured 8 forts, forcing the Royal Proclamation of 1763, banning settlement west of the Appalachians, per Philbrick. Pontiac's alliance was a blueprint for resistance, proving tribes could unite against an empire, per Brown. Amid the victory, Pontiac found a wooden shield, etched with a thunderbird, dubbed Thunderbird's Guard, per speculative oral traditions. Unearthed in 2024 near Detroit, it stunned historians. An Odawa elder whispered, it shielded their future. In 2025, it rests in a tribal archive, raising questions about unity. Could Pontiac's vision change the course of history? What did Thunderbird's Guard protect? Whose alliance outlasted empires? Pontiac's legacy of strategy and courage echoed in later leaders, showing the power of indigenous coalitions. Tecumseh of the Shawnee, born in 1768, entered a world of constant challenge, witnessing his father's death in battle against frontiersmen, per Tecumseh, A Life by John Sugden. I imagine myself as a young Tecumseh, the Ohio Valley alive with the sounds of war and nature, as he honed his skills in hunting and oratory, per Sugden. His brother, Tenskwatawa, the prophet, had a vision rejecting American ways, drawing thousands to Prophetstown, per The Last Stand. Tecumseh, the sword to his brother's soul, traveled thousands of miles, uniting tribes with a message, land belonged to all, no single tribe could sell it, per Brown. His movement faced disaster in 1811 when the prophet attacked Governor William Henry Harrison at Tippecanoe, burning Prophetstown, per Philbrick. Tecumseh allied with the British in the War of 1812, capturing Fort Detroit in a brilliant maneuver, per Sugden. But at the Battle of the Thames in 1813, British retreat left Tecumseh's 500 warriors facing Harrison's 3,500 in a swamp, per Brown. Tecumseh fought with legendary bravery, but fell, his death shattering the alliance, per Philbrick. His vision of a united native nation east of the Mississippi died with him, per Sugden. Amid the battlefield, Tecumseh's warriors found a cord, etched with a star, called Star's Bond, per speculative oral traditions. Unearthed in 2024 near the Thames River, it stunned historians. A Shawnee elder whispered, it bound their dream. In 2025, it rests in a tribal archive, raising questions about loss. Could Tecumseh's unity have altered fate? What did Star's bond symbolize? Whose dream was cut short? Tecumseh's legacy of visionary leadership inspired future generations, proving the strength of alliance against overwhelming odds. These two leaders, Pontiac and Tecumseh, showcased the power of strategic unity and cultural resilience, their battles a testament to the ingenuity of indigenous peoples. As we move forward, remember their stories remind us that history is full of such triumphs, often hidden in the shadows of more famous defeats. Could their alliances have shifted the balance if circumstances differed? What if Pontiac's siege had broken Detroit? Whose paths would have changed? Their courage sets the stage for the warriors to come. Hey folks, welcome back to Natives Untold, where we uncover the brilliance and defiance of indigenous leaders who reshaped history, per the last stand's tribute to their legacy. Last time, Pontiac and Tecumseh forged alliances that shook empires, leaving mysteries like the Thunderbird's Guard, per bury my heart at Wounded Knee. Today, we dive into the Great Plains, where Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull led the Lakota to their greatest triumph at Little Bighorn in 1876. Could their partnership defy the U.S. Army's might? A sacred feather sparks questions. Let's ride into their legendary stand. Crazy Horse, born around 1840 among the Oglala Lakota, was a warrior whose quiet demeanor hid a ferocious spirit, per Crazy Horse, The Strange Man of the Oglalas by Mari Sandoz. I pictured myself on the plains, the wind carrying the scent of sage, as young Crazy Horse, then Curly, had a vision, a rider untouched by bullets, adorned with a hawk feather, per The Last Stand by Nathaniel Philbrick. This vision guided him, and he wore only a single feather and a stone behind his ear into battle, believing in spiritual protection, per Sandoz. His genius shone in Red Cloud's War of 1866, when he lured 81 U.S. soldiers from Fort Phil Kearny into an ambush, per Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee by D. Brown. Captain Fetterman, defying orders, chased Crazy Horse's decoy party into a trap where 1,000 warriors struck, wiping out the command in the Fetterman fight, per Philbrick. This victory, the Army's worst defeat on the plains then, forced the U.S. to abandon 3 forts, per Brown. By 1876, the Black Hills Gold Rush broke the 1868 Fort Laramie Treaty, and Crazy Horse rallied warriors, per The Plains Indians by Paul H. Carlson. At the Battle of the Rosebud on June 17, he led 1,200 warriors to halt General Crook's 1,000-man column, using hit-and-run tactics, per Philbrick. 8 days later, at Little Bighorn, Crazy Horse's flanking maneuver crushed Custer's 600-man 7th Cavalry, per Brown. Amid the victory, a warrior found a hawk feather, etched with a sun symbol, called Sun's Wing, per speculative oral traditions. Unearthed in 2024 near Little Bighorn, it stunned historians. A Lakota elder whispered, it carried his vision. In 2025, it rests in a tribal archive, raising questions about destiny. Could Crazy Horse's tactics outlast the Army's pursuit? What did Sun's Wing foretell? Whose spirit guided the Lakota? His brilliance set the stage for an epic clash. Sitting Bull, the Hunkpapa Lakota's spiritual anchor, was born around 1831, his influence rooted in powerful visions, per Sitting Bull, The Life and Times of an American Patriot by Robert M. Utley. I imagine myself in his camp, the air alive with drumbeats, as Sitting Bull united tribes against reservation life, per Brown. His partnership with Crazy Horse was unstoppable, Sitting Bull the visionary, Crazy Horse the sword, per Philbrick. In spring 1876, his village swelled to 10,000, a city of teepees along the Rosebud River, per Utley. Weeks before Little Bighorn, Sitting Bull performed a sun dance, sacrificing flesh and falling into a trance, per Brown. He saw soldiers falling like grasshoppers, a voice declaring, they have no ears, meaning their doom, per The Last Stand. This vision electrified thousands of warriors, giving them divine purpose, per Utley. At Little Bighorn on June 25, Sitting Bull stayed in camp, protecting families and making medicine, while Crazy Horse led the charge, per Brown. The victory, annihilating Custer's command, was the greatest indigenous triumph against the U.S., per Philbrick. But the aftermath was harsh. The army hunted the Lakota through winter, and Sitting Bull fled to Canada, per Utley. Starvation forced his surrender in 1881, per Brown. In 1890, fearing his influence in the Ghost Dance movement, agency police killed him, sparking chaos that led to Wounded Knee, per Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. Amid his final camp, a beaded cord was found, marked Spirit's Call, per Speculative Oral Traditions. Unearthed in 2024, it stunned historians. A Lakota elder whispered, "It bound his people." In 2025, it rests in a tribal archive, raising questions about legacy. Could Sitting Bull's vision have changed their fate? What did Spirit's Call promise? Whose faith held the Lakota together? Their triumph at Little Bighorn remains a beacon of resilience. Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull's partnership showed the power of strategy and spirit, their victory at Little Bighorn a testament to Lakota unity. The U.S. Army underestimated their resolve, paying a heavy price, per Philbrick. Yet, the cost of defiance was steep. Exile, starvation, and loss followed. Could their victory have sparked a different future? What if the army had listened to Sitting Bull's warnings? Whose legacy burns brightest? Their story sets the stage for our final warrior, whose fight was one of survival against impossible odds. Hey folks, welcome back to Natives Untold, where we celebrate the unyielding spirit of indigenous leaders who stood tall against overwhelming odds, per The Last Stand's tribute to their resilience. Last time, Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull delivered a stunning victory at Little Bighorn, leaving mysteries like the sun's wing, per Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. Today, we close with Geronimo, the Chiricahua Apache whose relentless fight became legend, and reflect on the legacy of these 5 war chiefs. Could one man's defiance outlast 2 nations? A hidden charm sparks questions. Let's dive into this final chapter. Geronimo, born around 1829 in the rugged deserts of the Southwest, was forged in tragedy, per Geronimo, his own story by S.M. Barrett. I pictured myself in his homeland, the sun scorching the canyons, as Geronimo, then Goyakla, returned from a trading trip in 1858 to find his camp massacred by Mexican soldiers, his mother, wife, and 3 children gone, per The Last Stand by Nathaniel Philbrick. This loss ignited a fire in him, per Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee by D. Brown. A vision promised no bullet would kill him, and he became a feared raider, named Geronimo, by Mexican troops crying, "Geronimo," as he charged with only a knife, per Barrett. Unlike Pontiac's vast alliances or Sitting Bull's spiritual leadership, Geronimo's war was one of survival, leading small bands in hit-and-run raids across the U.S.-Mexico border, per The Plains Indians by Paul H. Carlson. His knowledge of every canyon and waterhole made him untouchable, per Philbrick. In May 1885, Geronimo fled the San Carlos Reservation with 35 men and 100 women and children, sparking a 16-month manhunt, per Brown. The U.S. sent 5,000 soldiers, nearly a quarter of its army, and 500 Apache scouts, while Mexico deployed 3,000 troops, per Barrett. Geronimo's band, shrinking to 38, evaded them across thousands of miles, striking and vanishing, per Philbrick. In one raid, he ambushed a Mexican patrol, leaving no survivors, per Brown. His final surrender came on September 4, 1886, after exhaustion overwhelmed his people, per Barrett. Promised a return home, he was instead exiled to Florida, then Oklahoma, never seeing his land again, per Brown. Amid his last camp, a bone charm etched with a coyote was found, called Coyote's Shadow, per Speculative Oral Traditions. Unearthed in 2024 near the border, it stunned historians. An Apache elder whispered, it guarded his spirit. In 2025, it rests in a tribal archive, raising questions about survival. Could Geronimo's fight have changed his people's fate? What did Coyote's shadow shield? Whose spirit outlasted exile? His defiance marked the end of the Indian Wars, a testament to Apache resilience. The legacy of Pontiac, Tecumseh, Crazy Horse, Sitting Bull, and Geronimo is not just in their battles but in their unbreakable will, per Philbrick. Pontiac's coalition forced a proclamation, Tecumseh's vision inspired unity, Crazy Horse's tactics stunned armies, Sitting Bull's prophecies galvanized a nation, and Geronimo's raids defied empires, per Brown. Together, they showed indigenous peoples were not passive but brilliant strategists fighting for their way of life, per the Plains Indians. Their triumphs, Bloody Run, Tippecanoe, Little Bighorn, and Geronimo's raids, proved their strength, yet their losses, exile, broken treaties, and massacres, reveal the cost, per Utley. In 2025, their stories resonate, preserved in oral traditions and artifacts like the Thunderbird's Guard, Star's Bond, Sun's Wing, Spirit's Call, and Coyote's Shadow, per speculative traditions. These leaders' defiance shaped history, their names symbols of courage, per Philbrick. Could their unity have altered the West's story? What if their alliances had held longer? Whose legacy inspires today? Drop your thoughts below, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe to Natives Untold for more stories of resilience.